The Pursuit of Podcast, a purely guest-centric show focusing on people and organizations that advance positive change. Positivity can be anywhere, and in a time of vast discord, the pursuit of is finding those who champion its causes loudest. Join us as we sit and learn about the pursuits of local leaders in their community. Let's go.
Hello, good people, and welcome to the Pursuit of Podcast, where it's truly not us, it's you. I am Ryan Buck, Artist Development, New Leonard Media. With me is the boss, Mark Wilson, President, New Leonard Media. How are you, sir?
Ryan, I'm doing great. The streets are drying up. I got outside a little bit today.
The sun is out. That is enough of the chit-chat about us. Embarrassing, really. But more importantly, our guest today is Katie Lowran, artist, human. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
I'm just going to peel the curtain back a little bit. When we talked about how to address you, I appreciate that when we're talking about, concepts that may be loftier, we can just say that who we are and this is what you do. And so thank you for allowing us to address you.
Yeah.
Thusly.
Well, you're welcome.
Well, there's a question that I've recently starting the podcast with, and I want to keep it going just because it's kind of fun and it just started happening. So let's say you're at a gathering of some sort. It's a party. We're doing that again. We're doing that again, right?
Let's go.
So you're at a party and somebody comes up to you and says, "What do you do?" What do you say?
I say I am a fine art acrylic painter and that I paint with passion, and my work is all about passion. That's really everything I do. I infuse passion into all of my paintings, and I do that by using texture and really buttery, soft, bright color acrylic paint.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that comes out and you get a little semicircle around you at this point, because I'm very fascinated. So what kind of questions do you get typically? And are they good ones?
Typically right after that, people say, well, what do you paint?
Right.
And
what? Okay. So
yeah, what?
Honing in on what inspires you,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting because I think that is something hopefully that artists like to talk about. But what's fascinating to me is this is a fairly recent pursuit for you.
Correct.
Yet your output, the way you even talk about it, it betrays somebody who's been doing this a long time.
Correct. Yeah.
What do you ascribe that to?
Well, my work is prolific. I don't have a niche, as people really want you to have a niche when
Really?
you're an artist. Like, do you do dog portraits, or do you do just portraits, or do you do landscapes? And I say I do everything.
So when you say you're an artist, after the inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
then it's what do you do?
Mm-hmm. What do you paint?
And so that's a question that you just have to keep kind of addressing.
Mm-hmm. And I say everything. I paint everything. There's
Right.
nothing that I won't paint or can't paint.
Sure.
Is how I feel, and I believe that.
But you speak in your technique, everything about you. And I should say, I don't know, a ton about art necessarily, but you know what you like, and when somebody's speaking about it with any kind of authority. So I think I may have seen your art before knowing anything about you, but it just feels like you've been doing this a long, long time.
Yeah. So I can tell you how it started.
Yeah, absolutely.
I call it a gift because I don't know how else to call it. But my last art class was in 5th grade, like elementary school. Like everybody has the standardized, you make a penguin like this, you put all the parts in the right place kind of thing.
That was your last.
That was my last
Now,
class.
why do you remember it as your last? Just because it was the last art focused class you ever took?
It was the last class I had because I played the piano for the choir 6th through 8th grade. So that took place of my art class.
You
so
had to or got to?
Got to.
So it was kind of something you wanted to do, not like a had to.
So
okay,
I
interesting.
accompanied the choir on the piano. So it was like the one person that got to do that. So
right,
I was pretty fortunate to do that. And it kind of ties in that piano, and I also played the flute. I was a prodigy on the flute back then too, which I quit. But I didn't have the passion for it, so long story.
Interesting.
To have a gift
it must have maybe been too easy.
Yeah,
you needed a little.
I didn't have to work
a
for
little
it.
push.
That's
Yeah,
true.
interesting. There you go. See, that gift isn't always a gift.
That's That is so true.
See, that's a little nice breakthrough
Isn't that
moment on this
interesting?
show.
Yeah. My parents are really mad at me. by the
Oh,
way,
no.
For a long time. But anywho. Anyway, so I was engaged to be married about 4.5 years ago. And 2 weeks before, I called off the wedding. And I broke my own heart and I shattered. So that was in July of 4.5 years ago now.
July,
And
you called off a wedding.
I called it off.
You called it off.
I called it
And,
off.
you know, that's something that clearly, you know, is a life moment. But talking about it in this context, it meant something positive for you.
It ended up being positive. Yeah. But I broke. I don't know how else to put it. Like
Yeah.
I lost like 20 pounds and whatever. I didn't even know myself.
Is that what it felt like?
Yeah.
Because I've read you say shattered.
Shattered.
And you go on to say that it was for a reason,
Mhm.
but that's a word that's really, and not just in artistic terms, powerful.
Yeah.
Like meaning non-recoverable.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a Terminator movie. You know what I mean? But I mean,
It felt a little-
shattered is
yeah,
gone.
Low, very low. I kept telling myself this is temporary, right? You know, because people break at times in their lives when they have some trauma, and you know, and some don't pull out of it very
Right.
easily, but you do come out of it.
And it's something that you
that's the thing.
initiated, which, you know, you
It was my
take
decision.
some stake in, and wow.
Yeah. So in October, I was walking through my
That same year.
same year, it was 3 months later or
Mhm.
whatever. I was walking through my dining room area, and I had this, people tell me not to say it, but it's the truth, so I have to say it this way, that I had this male voice come in my head that said, Katie, go buy a tube of electric blue paint. And I'm like, what? I don't know how to paint, and I don't even like the color blue. That was my response. But
Yeah.
then the pull, it was like magnetizing. Like all of a sudden I felt compelled to go purchase art supplies. I'm like, where do I even go? Michael's. I didn't know. So I went to Michael's with
I
a
love that.
shopping cart, you know, going around the store, and I'm like, what do I even buy?
This is a transformative moment. Now that we're talking about it, but
Completely
then
true.
you're mired in the minutia of, well, come on. Did you have a moment when, I'm just curious, of like, too much?
No.
So no, not at all. You were like, I do need to do this. I'll figure it out. And so I know the electric blue story. I know this.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the voice was male, and the fact that you said you shouldn't say that intimates that you've thought differently about this, because I wanted to know, you said you were thrust in this direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You were, and you've used the word gift, but it brought in some, and I've intimated that you have skill and wisdom beyond your years. So what are we going towards here? Has this now become a metaphysical podcast?
Yeah.
Because I find that really compelling. You know,
Yeah.
you say that it was this one thing, electric blue.
And why
And
electric
do you know the
blue?
significance of blue in arts? I mean, it's used in a lot of different ways,
Mhm.
And not always positive.
Right. And I don't even like the color blue. But I still don't know why electric blue is the color.
Do you think about that still?
Yeah, I do.
You
But
do.
Why electric blue? I use it in my art, but I don't know the meaning behind that still. But yeah, so I bought all the canvases and paints and charcoal. I didn't know what, I mean, it just all
Because
went in my
you
cart.
didn't know what style you were going to, at all.
No.
You just needed, well, paint.
I didn't even know. It was like I was told what to put in the cart. That's the other weird thing. So I left with that cart and I started painting, and I would stay up all night painting, and I'd put out 3 in a night, and then I'd go to work. Like I'd watch the sunrise and I'd be like, oh, now I got to go to work. And I'd do it over and over and over. And it just came out 170 pieces in, 4 years. And, you know, it just kept coming. It's still coming, but not at that speed. I can't stay up that late
Now,
anymore,
I wasn't able to look at and I don't know if it's tracked, and this is not meant to be a corny question at all, but statistically, it's a large body of good work
Mm-hmm.
in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
do you think about it? And it may sound corny and cliche after what we talked about, but but it clearly was you initiating it, and you were working through something. You had to do that to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Along the way, while it was 3 a.m. and you're like, well, I got a meeting because there is a day job.
Yeah.
Did you at all think like, I'm clearly working through something, this is going to be over? Did it seem cliche? Did you talk to friends about what you're doing and like, this is a phase? Or was there that, whatever the voice was that said unwaveringly, this is you now?
I had a sense that this was staying and like committed, right? Like, you're given this gift, you're going to do good things with it. There's no painting anything dark. You're going to take that love that you were supposed to have, and you're going to put it in this work, and you're going to put emotion and feeling and inspire people to act kindly, use their wisdom, be humble, and help them by viewing your art to kind of navigate this ever-changing, uncertain world, and to be compassionate and virtuous as they go forward in their life. And I know that's a lot, but that's really what my core tells me is what I'm supposed to do with my work.
And we've just talked about how this feels a bit of like a Big Bang situation,
Mm-hmm.
but you were inspired early. You had an uncle who was a professor in humanities, which I love.
Correct.
Nobody does humanities anymore. Everybody should be a professor of humanities at Michigan State University, which is where you went to school.
Correct.
But how did that individual influence you? And did you grow up in an artistic household in whatever way you interpret that to mean?
I grew up in a music and academic household. Yes, my uncle is my professor at Michigan State for humanities. I had to study art on little slides, and I wasn't very good at it, so I'd have to go to the library and restudy the slides. And I only got a B+, by the way, from my uncle, which still makes me mad. Not even an A-, a B+.
Wow.
He
Well,
also
do you
funked magic
think
buttons.
honestly it was a B+, or do you think he was being hard on you? Was that a lesson from the uncle?
It was probably a lesson, because I probably could have done better.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've come to terms with it.
Not really.
You haven't.
He's still there. He's
All right.
still teaching, and he's 85.
Well,
Can you
I'm
believe
saying,
that?
yeah, maybe. Wow, well, if you want to duke it out here on the show,
No, it's all
that would
good.
be healing.
It's fine. But I did get to study like Rodin and Van Gogh and, all the really famous artists.
And how did that impact you? Okay, so that's something that everybody
Mhm.
says they should like. And I don't know anybody who's like, oh, those are the worst.
Yeah.
But as corny as it may sound, did that inspire you in a way?
Yeah. I can tell like sometimes it comes out in my work. Like I painted one piece, and after I was done, I was like, oh my gosh, that looks like Matisse. Like I can speak to what artists.
So it gave you a frame of
Mhm.
reference.
And I kept it all up in my head too. So
Well, you graduated from Michigan State University,
Mhm.
this psychology, a
Right.
little bit different. So what was the dream? What was the plan? And what was reality?
I actually wanted to go to school for business administration, but my parents said that they wouldn't pay for me to be a secretary. But I'm actually an executive assistant, which is kind of pseudo secretary, right?
What a
So-
provincial thing to say
Isn't
there,
it
huh?
interesting?
I get it. I
I
get
know.
it. And it's
So-
nomenclature aside, that is such a fascinating mentality to explore.
Right.
Because, and you can't even just go to where's the true power, but whatever.
Yeah.
But that's fascinating. And how do you reconcile that?
You can't.
That-
You
they-
graduate with a bachelor's in psychology. You can't get a job with a bachelor's in psychology.
They didn't view so they steered you towards psychology,
Mhm.
which I would never put that down either, but that they didn't see a business degree as the bigger opportunity for like the bigger money maker.
Right.
Their
Isn't-
generation didn't see women in leadership, and that's what it was like, because they immediately, you're not going to go to school to be a secretary.
Right.
Or go
Which
to school.
still-
I mean, you were going to be a teacher, a nurse, And even, in those antiquated days, my own grandmother was a chemist, and she's got her name on the patent for the first Polaroid camera.
Whoa.
And she would always say, I like that was non-traditional and it was super hard.
Yeah.
Because so that's a mentality. And I just think it's fascinating. It's not totally relevant to dwell on,
Right.
but as a concept and as an artist, and what we're going to talk about push and pull, but are you a little bit rebel? Is there a little rebel in you?
I'm a redhead, of course.
Well, see, okay.
I mean,
but it's interesting. You've talked about some dark subjects.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked about, so far some inspiration that came from that place. Is that something that fuels you a little bit, maybe even in a fun way, creatively, taking things like that?
Yeah, I like to play, especially with my art, and, I like to play in life too, like I still do cartwheels every spring.
Right.
Just to see before I break a hip. I mean, I'm going to keep doing it.
Just to see if you can do it.
Just to see if I can do it. But I like to...
An annual rite of passage.
Yeah, live life as much as you can and have fun with it,
And you have 3 kids?
3 kids. Yeah.
And I heard that they were artistic growing up.
Yes.
Now, you weren't pursuing art back then. So were you just looking upon their art as like, oh, that'll be on the fridge for about a week and then it's going away?
No.
Do you ever look back and think, I should have been paying attention to that? Or was that something that, does it come up at all now that you are an artist?
I did pay attention because they were all really good artists.
Interesting.
Young. And I was envious because all I could draw was a rabbit. It really was like one little rabbit. I was like stuck on this rabbit. I couldn't draw anything, a tree or a stick figure. That was literally my acumen of art.
That's okay. I mean, if art wasn't critical to your survival, either artistically or professionally, didn't seem to matter.
But I wanted to be an artist or a dancer or something like that. I was always envious of that, but I couldn't. I didn't have it.
And so there's that push to creativity.
Mm-hmm.
That push to creativity, and people like that in general have certain tendencies. You have a day job. So do you find that any of those tendencies that work for you as an artist work for you as a professional?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a business mind, believe it or not. It's where I hit on all 8 cylinders. So, your life just kind of...
Is that an issue for you as perception? Because when you say artist, people think immediately you don't know how to balance your checkbook?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Like flaky, kind of ditzy artist kind of thing.
Really?
Balance your checkbook.
Well, there's money to balance. I get it. Artists mostly don't.
Well, not just that, but when's the last time you went through your...
Yeah.
Oh, so what are you saying? That is an
balance
antiquated
your
reference. Okay, whatever is the TikTok version of balancing your checkbook today. Or the businessy equivalent. But so that's something that you think about is like...
I just think it's a dichotomy because I do have a really strong business mind, and financial investing is a thing that I study, and so I've got a right brain and a left brain, which I think that's unusual.
Right.
And, most people take one side or the other, or proclivity for.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at what inspires you, you talked about passion right away. And I've also heard you say or read you saying moments to take your breath away.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about when you started making art, has your definition of what moments take your breath away, has it changed at all?
I don't think so. I mean, it can be anything that can take my breath away. Like I can think of, there's a lighthouse in Frankfurt that is majestic and gorgeous and beautiful, and that takes my breath away. And the other day I painted an eagle because an eagle flew over my head, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like so beautiful, and that takes my breath away. Like so many things in these moments of life are just remarkable that I don't take for granted, and I think they're just stunning, and I want to capture those moments that just make you go, oh my gosh.
Right. Right. And it's something that I feel want to pass along to anybody who experiences your artwork, which I think is wonderful. And it's not just because your artwork does, I think in general, evoke just a lot of positivities, and it's not just the colors, but your style. I know you talked about you like to use buttery paints.
Mhm.
Can you get a little technical for us and walk us through what a buttery paint is to you?
Yeah, a buttery paint that I use is acrylic paints, and acrylic paints have a viscosity which is similar to soft butter, and you can change the viscosity of the acrylic paints by adding water to them to make them really runny, like say a watercolor, or you can leave them as they come in a tube, which is more thick.
Right.
And I like the thick, but I also I call it stripping my paintings, and I'll wash them. I'll get upset and I'll wash them in the sink and create a giant
Wait,
mess.
so is that a bad thing? Yeah, messy painter.
Very
I think
mess.
that's
huge mess.
is that
yeah.
not normal? Does that not
I
feel
don't
like
know.
it should be?
It's just messy. But anything in my kitchen is a tool. So
Right.
it's kind of
And
the whole kitchen is a tool.
So when you talk about, something that, buttery paint, and as a layperson, I thought it may have been more liking to how a wine can be buttery. More it's the, is that
I was
similar? Maybe
eating
the
it or
over,
something?
not that you were eating it. Although, there is that part of us, that kid who wants to eat Play-Doh.
Yes.
Maybe that doesn't go away. Not that you were eating paint. This is not the Tommy Boy scenario. But the idea that that's something that you responded to because you weren't a professional. You hadn't studied this all your life. You were just responding to buttery paint.
Yeah. That's just what I picked up. I tried oil one time, and it doesn't dry fast, and I got it all over myself like days later, and so I just dropped that one. But
Right.
that's all I've ever tried, and I like it.
Yeah.
I just love it. I love how it pops, the popping colors. And
They do. And you talked
Yeah.
about having to have a style, having to have a niche, which is fascinating to me. I've curated a couple of exhibits through the world of hotels, and in different styles and different mediums, have some experience with graffiti, art, and things like that, which is fun. But you have to balance a couple of things, and I want to get into this in a second.
Mhm.
But how important is it to you right now to be able to rattle off what your niche is? Because it can be changing to you.
Mhm.
Because if you say you're a passion-inspired artist, things that take your breath away, there you go. But how important is it to be able to, at least, is that for marketing, for, getting people interested, to saying, this is the style of art that I do. This is a niche. Does that help you connect with other artists, find other communities, things like that?
Yeah, it has. Because when people look in my art anyway, in male and female, they get emotional. They tear up, they well up, and that's what's important, whether they purchase it or not. But I know that it has an effect, the outcome that I want. And it's not a sadness. It's oh my God, it's beautiful. It's that same feeling that I feel like seeing the lighthouse or, an eagle. It really evokes like some kind of change in someone. And that's what you want art to do, is make a change and move people in some way, whether it's some people paint politically or,
that's a quicker path, maybe, right? So you're saying you want emotion evoked, and it maybe could be something that's tied to something that's bittersweet, or maybe approximates sad.
Could be anything.
That's okay.
A sunset.
And that's hard because you're taking something that you felt, and it's just, if you want to get technical about it, it's chemical reactions in the brain. But ultimately, are you painting for you, or is this truly altruistic? How much of satisfying you as a human, as you are titled at the top of the show,
human,
how much of it is about you being satisfied, and how much of it is, well, I think people will like it?
Well, I can't say it's about me, and I can't say it's about other people, because I can set an intention to paint, say X. Oh, I want to paint a girl at the beach in her bikini, for example. I don't get to paint that. I don't get to decide sometimes. And sometimes I end up painting an elephant. And I'll stand over the painting and be like, what just happened? This is not what I intended to paint. I wanted to paint this, but I don't get to decide sometimes. Sometimes it decides for me. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Well, no and yes. And now we have another 3-hour podcast because that's something that I wanted to get to process and how you do things, but do you work from a picture, a photograph, or do you just work completely from memory?
I have worked from photographs, but it just comes out. Mostly it comes out of something inside of me.
So girl in bikini, you're at the beach.
Just
And
I'm
if I'm prying too much and you don't want to share, just that, I don't want to trade secrets, but you, girl at the beach, in your mind.
In my mind, yeah.
You come back to the kitchen.
I'm in the kitchen.
And you're in you need to be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Not just because you're messy, but you need to be in the kitchen, and you have the tools that you need. You begin to paint said girl in bikini. Do you look up moments later, an hour later, 3 hours later, and see an elephant?
Hours later. And I used to play tennis, and there would be times in tennis where we call it treeing. And it's probably that on any sport where you just go automatic and you're just so trained, you just do things. And it's like, oh my gosh, I just made the most amazing shot.
Okay.
Well, like you're unconscious.
And you made it look easy, or you felt it was easy, or you just played it off like it was easy.
Right.
But you're saying it was
You're in
almost
this
automatic.
zone,
Okay.
unconscious zone.
I mean, would you
of.
say you're kind of in a trance-like state? You are in a
Well,
place where you're just so focused.
Focused, yeah.
But you're focused on a girl in a bikini.
Well, initially, but then
Or-
I get into this work and it morphs, it changes, it reveals itself.
That is
to
wonderful.
me.
Why is your kitchen so important?
I don't know.
Because,
It's the
I
command
think
center.
artists probably are creatures of some habit at times. And I think, things that you are maybe habitual, but why your kitchen? Does it have to be your kitchen? Like, can you ever move?
I've thought about having a studio or going to a studio, and I like the connection of my home with my art. And, so going somewhere to paint doesn't actually appeal to me.
It doesn't.
No.
And so would you say, part of ritual? Because, you have the kitchen, you have the feel of it. When you're done with the painting, when it's done, you have a solo dance party.
Yeah, I did.
And I hope it's not the only time you do solo dance parties.
Brought that up.
But so that is the end of, so is that important to you? Can you finish a painting under certain circumstances and not have to,
Have a dance party?
sadly, not have a dance party?
I don't know. It's like this burst of energy I have. It's like I definitely have dance parties by myself in my kitchen.
I mean, I feel like you are giving the paint. I guess what I'm going into is I feel like you're giving the painting that final bit of energy. That's the
Oh yeah.
last
Well,
bit
that's
of
a
you.
good
I just say,
maybe.
like, creativity always, like, everybody has their place and their space, and there's certain things that slow stuff down. So for me, I have a decent keyboard out here that I could turn on, play, and I would sound great on it. But it's much better to have a piano in the living room. And whenever you're walking by, even if you just touch one key, it makes noise.
Yeah.
And for some reason, throughout college, despite having the studio out here and an office in the house, my homework gets done at the kitchen table. But for me, I think it was the proximity to the fridge. So, like,
Well, maybe, I mean, that's all basic, you're fulfilling basic needs, right? You have shelter, food, creativity
Yeah.
comes from that.
Yeah.
But you're an artist, you're painting what you're given, which
Right.
is interesting.
Yeah.
And I thank you for being on that journey with me in the question, because I'm very fascinated by people who can do what you can do, by anybody who can do what you can do. But when does it turn in your mind where it has to be something you want to or can make money for? And what does that do to you as an artist?
I am making money, and I have been making money.
Mhm.
I'm one of the fortunate ones. So right out of the gate, yeah, I've been selling for 4.5 years. So
Was
I'm
that
not
kind of
the-
right at the beginning? Was
Yeah.
something you wanted to do, tried your hand at it, obviously
course.
went well,
yeah.
or goes well. And is that a journey that's so you decided to do that as part of this? Is that a similar, path? Because, I mentioned before we started, I'm a musician. There's some nobility in the grind, earning your stripes, as it were. Is it a
Mhm.
similar path to kind of succeeding?
It's a different path, I guess. Like there's a lot of business aspects to being an artist. Like you're just not painting all the time. Like you have to do taxes, for example. You have to market yourself. You have to do prints, and for some reason, I have known what I'm supposed to do. I know, again, it's just strange, but I knew to have my work captured, it's called, or photographed, high res, right out of the gate. So I didn't sell any work without having it captured. So every piece of my art has been high res photographed, so I can have it printed in acid free cliches that are incredible detail. They're beautiful. Wow. How did I know to do that? I don't know. I have no idea, but fortunate.
Okay, so one could say it works. That's a win. Let's move on and spend that energy doing something else. Well, you are being successful doing that. You do work with commission. So I'm really fascinated by what draws you to a commission. What's your process? And, how do you work in that space?
Commissions are interesting because you're painting for someone based on description of words that they tell you, right? So,
is that how it works? Can it be as basic as that? Because I imagine you can be as specific as you want them to be. So how open are you to let your clients dictate what they want?
Well, they can tell me what they want, but I tell them what my process is. Like, I don't know what it's going to look like. I can't tell you what it's going to look like at the end. But if you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it, and I'll sell it to somebody else. I mean, that's kind of how it works.
Is that the most carefree business model?
Yeah.
You cracked it.
I cracked it.
I am going to give you something. No idea how it's going to go.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out for you, I don't care.
Yeah. And I keep 50%.
Yeah, it's never wasted. Except
because that's my time. My time is worth money.
This is a free podcast.
My cousin was contracted to do a Slayer beaded medallion. She's a beadwork artist
for the band.
For she's tribal.
Yeah,
well, not for the band Slayer, but for a fan.
Yeah.
She sent it to them. There was like a lot of back and forth. Apparently, the person couldn't really afford it, and they like returned it.
Oh.
And because of the exchange that they did it on, she was forced to be like, "Dude, you asked me to do this. I did it. Whatever." But short of it is, she's stuck with the Slayer medallion and is at every like powwow and tribal event hoping that a Slayer fan will come along. I can't imagine
it would take long for that to go.
Yeah.
I want it.
Well, do you want it? So I'm holding you to it.
Oh my gosh.
But I should tell you that if I have a commission, I tell them, my clients this as well, that I will work, and I don't put my time as part of my cost, because I say I don't know how long it's going to take me. Yeah. But I will work and work and work and work until I feel like I get it right.
Right.
So like I just don't willy-nilly say.
Well, there was a story you told about a particular commission, and there was some specificity. You had an idea, and it just wasn't happening. And I think that's really cool that you were just saying, I'm not getting this. And that your breakthrough was like, I just got to do me.
Right.
I have to do my art. And my art is good enough. That's why they're talking to me.
Yeah.
And was that a moment that changed the trajectory for you completely in a big way?
Well, for that piece, because it was a 4 feet by 4 feet commission, and I had all these people coming over to my home and saying, "Oh, you should do it this way. Well, oh, you're gonna do this, and why don't you do that?" And it was all in my head, and I was like, "Well, maybe I should do that." And so 6 months, I texted my client and said, "I just have to take a break, and I'm sorry, but
wasn't this for a surprise type of thing? Was there a time crunch?
For an engagement surprise, yes.
6 months they waited to get engaged. Well, you're worth the wait, though, right?
Now I say up to a year, but it never takes that long. But it usually takes me a month or two.
I think, I don't know.
You're wise to kind of lower the expectation of like the time.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine people hit you up. They say, "Hey, we want this, and why can't we get it next week?"
Yeah. And I never know if I'm going to get blocked again, which I haven't, but I don't know. I just paint my paint. I do my work, and it just comes out. And then that was my answer.
Does that kind of trajectory dissuade you from wanting to do commission work? Does it make it less fun in a way?
No, it's actually, it pushes me. It makes me a little uncomfortable, and I like.
Because you don't want the flute. You want a little bit of a wall in front of you.
Yeah, I like it. I like making myself uncomfortable, giving myself that discomfort, because it pushes me.
Right.
It makes me a better artist, and I like where it takes me. All my clients, they have all cried. They have sat down and just bawled because they're so happy, and that's 27 of them. So, I mean, so far I've hit it all.
Well, I mean, that's obviously a clear benchmark of success.
Yeah.
What happens the first time somebody doesn't?
Well,
Are you
know,
gonna
that's
make 'em
it's
do it?
part of the.
Maybe just
you're
like,
gonna,
it'd be nice if you could just
just
shed a little tear
cry.
for me. Thank you.
Well, if they don't, they don't. But
So to you, what is the phenomenon of synesthesia and how do you use it in your work?
so synesthesia is, well, you know what anesthesia is, right? So
Mhm.
it's you're numb, and
I prefer it in my surgeries.
yeah.
When given the chance, I'm like, I'd like that.
all in,
Always.
and up it.
I'm like that.
Yeah. Well, synesthesia is only 4% of the population have it, and it's a neurological condition, but it's where you have multi-sensories happening at the same time. Where most people have 5 senses of
Mhm.
sight, touch, smell, sound, hear, and all that. But with sensentia, if you can even say it,
It's hard. So you can
It's hard.
we could call it by another name if
Yeah.
you want from this point forward, or not refer to it again by name.
Not say it again.
Yeah, the thing.
Yeah, you have multiple sensories going on at the same time, and for me, and I think it's related to being a prodigy on the flute, that's where that music comes back around for me again, is that I can actually see colors and feel them when I have music playing and when I'm painting. And it's almost like when I'm painting, I am painting notes on a composition. And a lot of times I'll even use my fingers to paint on my art with the colors, and I can feel them. No.
Well, that's extraordinary because, I understand a lot of it was discovered by individuals without sight reporting seeing colors as responding to notes.
Mm-hmm.
And some people can maybe ascribe a color to a number
Yes.
that way.
Correct.
I believe.
Yes.
So it's a one, pathway stimulating another in an unexpected way.
Correct.
That on the surface you could talk about that and go, oh my God, but it's not a bad thing.
Right. It's a good thing.
So you have taken it and you've used it in your work in a way. Does it guide you, more than just this is how I have to do this, or do you try to lean into it?
Oh yeah, I lean into it, and my use of color, that's kind of how I found out about it, because I'd take it in to get captured and they would make comments like, how are you mixing these colors together and making them work, because they're not supposed to work together, and yet you keep mixing them and it works. Like, there's a color wheel and you're not following it. And I'm like, well, I don't follow the rules because I'm.
Do you think they think that you're making it up at this time? Do you think they're having conversations about you like, this isn't true? What's happening?
How is she doing that? Like, why is
You've
she,
been at people's
how
dinner
is she doing
conversations
that?
at home. Like,
I know. How is
something's
how is
happening.
she
She's
making
pretending.
It work?
but it's art. So by one, standard, and I hate to ask the most pedestrian question, but who cares? Why ask me this? Why not say, how are you doing this? Rather than, why are you doing this?
No, that's a good question.
And that's, I guess, too combative.
Yeah.
But do you think about that? Does that, because you're coming off as this maverick, I just teed you up as this sage with this wisdom beyond your years, and you're just like, I'm just painting, man.
I love it.
And that's enough.
I mean,
Even to struggle through 6 months of, I'm sure you're doing other things, but I was thinking about
Oh,
that
yeah.
client.
I painted another 4 foot by 4 foot painting in the middle of it. I mean,
So stepping out on the couple a little bit, but that's okay. When you think about, well, maybe you have to in commissions, but as you're doing work, do you ever share work in progress with anybody else? Ever?
No. I mean, if somebody came over, they'd see it, but no, not with my clients.
do they ask, or do you say up front, you're not going to see it until it's done?
Right.
I mean, do you ever share any work in progress? Do you have a confidant? Do you have an artist? Anybody?
No.
Nobody.
No.
It's just, I think that kind of
Right.
confidence is inspiring. And I mean, it's something that, going back to, you must be doing it for you in a way because you're the judge.
I know when it's done.
So I
So
was going to
that
ask
makes
you,
me the judge, I guess.
when is a painting done? That's the cheesiest question I'll ask you because that's the corniest question to ask an artist. But a painting may be never done. But when is a painting done? It's got to be done at some point.
I just know when it's done. Now I do. Like in the beginning, I overpainted a few times. Now I just, and I've said this before in interviews, so maybe you've heard this, but the painting tells me when it's done.
Sure.
So I know when it's done. And if I push it, and I'll overpaint it. So
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm done. Just hands off. Okay, I guess we'll go paint another one then.
And is that a healthy part of the process, starting another one just so you can say you've concluded a previous one?
Because I just love painting. I mean, just because I'm done doesn't mean I'm done. I don't think I'm ever going to be.
So when you're done,
finished.
you feel that sense of calm. You feel a sense of completion. You feel a sense of
Dance party.
and then you get your dance party and the
Mhm.
energy comes out and you bless the piece.
Mm-hmm.
Are you out looking for the next breathtaking moment? Because you've just said it could be an eagle, it could be a woman at the beach. We're particularly in an inspiring place. Are there certain surroundings that are more conducive to those things for you, or can you find them anywhere or turn this whole thing off?
I can find it anywhere. I have a whole queue. I mean, I like a dandelion that's the puff. I don't know what you call it, but I mean, that's to me beautiful. That's something I want to paint, or a cattail, or a puppy, or anything. Like I
Right.
can paint anything that inspires me. I sketched in Mexico just recently. I don't draw, but I went to Mexico for 19 days. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do while I'm down there? I can't paint, so I'll sketch. Well, I can't draw, but I'll try. And I sketched this old man sitting on a wall smoking a cigarette, and he was really old and wrinkly and tan. And I'm like, how cool is that? He was beautiful. He was beautiful to sketch. And I was able to do it. And it was just, you can find it anywhere if you look for it.
Can I ask you about that old man?
Yeah.
Did you take a picture of him with your phone as well?
I did that one because I can't draw.
Okay.
But
you,
that one I
you
did.
sketched him.
Yes, I did.
And whereas most other people would have looked, maybe taken a picture of their phone, sketched it later, you experienced a moment and you did something you haven't done before.
Mm-hmm.
So you've tried things, and because they weren't easy, or not challenge or too easy or not challenging enough. So what is the next evolution, or does there have to be a next evolution in where you want your art to go or how you want it to interact with people?
Well, it is ever changing. I mean, that's just how I am, because I always say, like a tree. I want to see what I can accomplish and go up and out, see how far I can reach. So my intention now with my art is to add dynamicism. Is that a word? Be more dynamic?
Yeah, sure.
I want to be more dynamic in my art, and creating the illusion of movement is what I'm working on now.
Okay.
So I just did a skier, like getting ready to do a jump.
So breathtaking because you're holding your breath, because
yeah.
that's a terrifying
Prepare
thing.
for takeoff. But yeah, so I'm just kind of playing around with that and
Right.
seeing where that's going to go. And
have you ever bailed on a painting? Has a painting ever not spoken to you through the end?
Oh yeah, I've made hot messes of canvases, but I took one to the garbage, and then I didn't put it in, and I said, I am never going to quit on a canvas. I've made a commitment, and I've never quit on a canvas. So It may not have been something that I wanted it to be at some time, but
Right.
it becomes something even more amazing. I have one that I have 9 coats of paint on it.
So
Couldn't do it.
you have a very DIY punk rock mentality. No rules, no schools. You're just gonna figure it out. But you're doing this enough. Have you connected with any artist who you may look upon that you've gotten knowledge from? Anybody you'd like to see as a mentor, or anybody you'd like to connect with in that way? Not even maybe just to learn, but just to have coffee and talk.
Yeah, I have tons of Instagram artists and out that I just go through and look at what they do, get inspired by their work, just their process of work, just that they work. People
Yeah.
work all the time. I'm what's called a outsider artist because I didn't go to school and I don't have training, and it's very interesting how schooled or educated artists feel about outsider artists. It's just a little, it's like the Sneetches on the beaches. Did you ever read that book?
Oh yeah,
I've spent
the star-bellied.
The Star
That might be a good
I've
tattoo.
spent
Actually,
3/4 of my life immersed in hip hop culture, and so I totally know
You get it.
how the dancers have felt,
Right.
and how the painters have felt, and how
Yeah.
the musicians have felt.
Yeah.
and maybe experiencing the graffiti. I did a show in Chicago with Caves, the artist Caves, and he's well known. And the
Yeah.
next show I did was with a young man at the time named Eric DeBat. Risk was his tag name, and he wasn't a big name, but there was that rebellious nature of the graffiti world, but it was balanced, at a 4.5-star hotel downtown Chicago. So I got to see that difference.
Sure.
But it felt even then that there was,
Little tension.
but Caves is one of the most impressive and fascinating people I've ever met. And as an art, you know what I mean? So it's almost sad to see that there's some kind of that kind of hierarchy or even that kind of paradigm within it. But I get it though.
Yeah.
And so navigating that, are there social circles? Is there decorum? Do you have advice for anybody who, like you, is the punk rocker? I just labeled you. Sorry.
That's fine.
But, do you have any advice for somebody who is in your situation, who may be a little more timid and has, whether it's somebody's telling them to do it, helping them along, metaphysically or not, what would you say to do?
It has to start with, you have to know inside yourself, are you an artist? Do you believe you're an artist? Do you believe in your work? Are you solid in your belief of your work and what you output? And if so, it doesn't matter whether you went to school or whether you didn't, because you know your worth, you know your value, you know your work is good. So if somebody says, "Oh, I got shunned once," and I was like, "Oh, okay,"
Dude,
at a
really?
plein air thing at Chateau Chantal, but I was like, okay, whatever.
At a thing?
But it's fine.
Well, okay.
It's
We're
fine.
not a digging for dirt show.
Yeah.
But, it again, it's all art.
It's all
We're
art.
doing it for a
That's
positive
love.
way.
Yeah.
And the work is the work. And
Mhm.
I faced that a little bit in a corporate setting, trying to get a show with an unknown graffiti artist after a big show. And I said, and I still stand by it, it doesn't matter. The work is good.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful to hear, because, it's not, it's not egotistical at all. It's
Belief.
confidence
Belief.
in yourself. And art is wonderful, and just doing it is a good thing and getting it out. When you go into a home and art is arranged incongruously, does it bother you at all?
No.
Like, are you a natural curator? Are artists natural curators?
No. Do I start rearranging things?
I mean, just in your mind, even.
No.
And when you pick art to hang in your own home, I got to ask you, 1, how do you pick it? 2, how often does it change? And 3, what is the best quality in Aboriginal art?
Ooh. Well, I have Aboriginal art because my great grandmother was from Australia, because her family stole a chicken in England and they were exiled. So that's how
They went to the bad place back then?
Yeah.
Really?
That's how the Aboriginal art came
For a
to
chicken?
for a chicken, yeah.
That's not on the family crest, I'm hoping.
No, but that's how the Aboriginal art came to be in my collection anyway. But
this is tremendous.
It's tremendous, yeah.
So is chicken in the family not a tough topic?
We don't
Or
eat
have
chicken.
you gotten over it?
No, yeah, we eat chicken.
Wow. So again,
Yeah.
art in your own home. So how do you pick it? How often does it change? And then what are the best, qualities in Aboriginal art? Because I think it's wonderful.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's hard to describe. It's almost like mandala, I suppose. But how do I pick my art? It's got to be unique. It's got to have color for some reason. It's always been that way, though. Even before I could paint, it had to have color. It had to be uplifting, positive, of course. And poetry is also an art to me. And so I have books around and things like that.
Right.
Use that as art also, and collectible things. I don't change it out much, though.
Really?
Kind of once it's
I'm
it's
always
in.
fascinated by that. So
Yeah.
you're okay with looking at something for a while as long as it stays inspiring?
Yeah, and I'll move it around, but it doesn't
Interesting.
get
Okay.
evicted or anything.
Is any of your work hanging in your own place?
Absolutely.
And is that because is that nefarious? I wonder, because if somebody comes to the home and an artist and they say, "Who's this?" and you're like, "That's me."
That's mine. No, it's
See, you just answered that
because-
wonderfly.
I know. It's
I think
mine.
Greta Garbo couldn't have done it better.
It's because it's like you get attached to these pieces. You put you infuse them with your love and joy. They're like your children, and so sometimes you need to have them around for a period of time. Some of them, not all of them, but I get attached, and then I'm like, okay, I can let you out of the nest now. I can put you up for sale, and off you go.
Out of the nest. That's wonderful. And again, just to close the loop on that Aboriginal piece, are there any artists that you, not to put you on the spot, or just tenants of, or any artists that you in that genre that you supported that you like?
I don't know the name of the Aboriginal artist because it's so long ago.
It's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Awesome. In the end, when you look at where you want to go next and what you want people generally to get out of your work, can you talk about where people can see you and what's the best way and best ways you want to connect with people and you want people to connect with you?
I love to connect with people in person because I love that intimate relationship that's created between an artist and even a viewer or a client, doesn't matter. Right now I'm at Crooked Tree in Traverse City and the Frankfurt Oliver Art Center. And as far as exhibitions for this year, I'm not doing any at the moment, but I kind of blew myself up last year. I did so many of them.
It's tiring.
It's tiring.
Right.
It was a lot of work, but very rewarding.
Yeah.
But I just need to paint for a while, and I'm gonna start outsourcing, contracting some more aspects of my business so that I can free up more time for myself.
Nice.
So that's really what I'm gonna focus on for the next few months.
And your website is Katie Lowran Art, and that's Katie Katie Lowran LOWRANART.com, right?
That's right.
Katie Lowran Art. Sorry, I paused there like that. And are you looking to what are you working on right now? What's occupying your moments right now artistically? Is it something for you? Are you working on commission right now?
I'm not working on a commission. I have a client who's considering a commission. I've met with him, but I'm not working on it at the moment. But yes,
That's
I'm working
wonderful.
I was up till 4:30 this morning working on a painting. So
Wow.
I know. Typical.
And if I may
Typical.
close out by asking you, because Mark talked about being in the kitchen, why are Flaming Hot Cheetos the best snack?
They're the best. Have you ever had them?
I don't know if I have.
Oh
Well,
The crunchy
that's
ones,
why you
you
don't
gotta
know.
have 'em.
Yeah.
Are they?
They're so
Are you
good. I
like
like
spicy food and
spicy,
flaming
yeah.
hot Cheetos?
Flaming hot
That's the best.
Cheetos, they're crunchy.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're very satisfying.
So I get little takeaways from all these episodes,
Agreed.
and that's probably the most interesting or potentially dangerous one for me. So thank you for that. And is there anything else you'd like to share with us about what you're doing?
Just thank you for having me.
Oh,
It's
it's
been a
been our
blast.
pleasure for sure. Well,
It's an
Katie,
absolute joy.
thank you so much for your pursuits and you're sharing your art and giving people beauty, peace, and calm, and hopefully now inspiring others to check out your art and to do the same.
Thank you.
Thank you for being our guest. And thank you all for listening, and thank you for pursuing the positive.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another episode of The Pursuit of Podcast in the books. The Pursuit of Katie Lowran Art. For more information and to learn about Katie Lowran as a fine artist, passion and color, and what you can do to support the Northern Michigan art scene, go to KatieLowranArt.com. KatieLowranArt.com. And as always, for all things audio, video, podcast production related, come find us at newleonard.com.